is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
And running with Bigsby again to the left side. He gets loose. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Tank Bigsby has scored on an inside handoff, and the Jaguars have taken the lead with 6:46 to play in the ball game. He drops the throw. Levis fires toward the right corner of the end zone. Incomplete. It is an incomplete pass. Darnell Savage had the coverage on Nick Westbrook-Akine, and the ball's going to go over on down with 1:11 left to play in the ball game.
It just feels great. Feels great to get back in the win column. It's been a while. Hats off to the players. Battled their tails off.
The defense really giving us a chance throughout the game, and the offensive line, Cole for stepping in there, first start. So just all that stuff was really good, and thought the guys responded, and we didn't quit this time, which is really important for us moving forward. There was no quit.
Game day is underway. This is the Terminix Kickoff Show on 1010XL. Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch. Here are your hosts, Hayes Carline and Mia O'Brien.
That was round one between the Jacksonville Jaguars and their hated rivals, the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars' first comeback victory since the 2023 playoff victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. That was, though, 3 weeks ago, Hayes Carline. And so as we get set for Week 17 here on the Terminix Kickoff Show between these two foes, I would say the vibes are similar but different than they were in Nash Vegas, where you were covering that game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were playing out the string then. They're playing out the string now. It was, it's always great to get a win in Nashville. But I think now as you get closer to the finish line here, I think if you're a realistic Jaguar fan, I think you sort of get that now losing may be winning at this time of year. Now, if you're coming out to the game today and, you're bringing the kids, you want to see the Jaguars win and, totally get that. But yeah, this is a tough place to be in from a fan standpoint, because the best thing long term is to lose today, but you hate losing to the Titans. You'd love to get that season sweep, even in a season that's been a total disaster.
Look, folks, we understand the state of where this Jaguars season is at. Welcome into the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade, by the way. Mia O'Brien, Hayes Carline, engineer extraordinaire John O'Leary, live at Tailgaters Park and Growlers Bar and Grill. We are with you until 10 a.m., counting down until kickoff at Everbank Stadium at 1 p.m. And so as we begin today's program, Hayes, yes, we are going to take a look at today's matchup. We're going to break it down. We're going to hear from our friend John Burton up in Nashville. We're going to do keys to the game, all that good stuff. But I think it's important to also keep it real, if you may. And so as we begin today's program, we're going to have a non-traditional player interview to kick things off. For the last few weeks, people around the league have asked me, being in the locker room each week, do you get the sense that there's frustration? Mac Jones just used the word a few weeks ago up in Nashville, there was no quit. And I've heard from multiple people around the league of, have you sensed that? And I really hadn't. This isn't quit from Dewey Wingard in the locker room following a 19-14 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders last weekend in Sin City, but it's as close as we will get to players in that locker room being critical of the current regime and the current operation. And it sounds like a good place for us to begin today's program.
Talk about how difficult this is over and over again. Close but no cigar, 8th loss by a touchdown or less. You're there, you have a shot, and it doesn't happen.
It's what it is. I just focus on my job and do what I can do.
How did you do that today? I thought, did you feel like you kind of got back into a little bit of a groove today?
Felt great. Felt like myself. That's what I do. I go out and ball. That's what I do.
You guys have gone 5 games without getting a turnover, and I know you can't scheme that up, but is it almost crazy the ball isn't finding you guys at all?
Can't say. I know I had a chance today. I probably should have went and just caught the ball. I went through the guy, but I don't know.
Have you been on a pitch count, or have they just been limiting you defensively with snaps? Or
just haven't been playing. And you see what happens when I play. So
Could you just talk a little bit about how difficult it is for this team to just gut through this grind. There's no big, huge carrot to play for. It's just pride at this point. And the effort's there, but the payoff has not been.
I mean, I know for the guys that haven't been around, it's hard. I've been through this stuff many times, and you just got to go play ball and know that your tape is your resume and everyone's watching the tape. And that's what you got to do. And it stinks. And I do everything in my power to scream at guys and cuss and say, let's effing go. But it is what it is.
This time of year, when your record's a record, do you find guys lose focus a little bit? I mean, the pre-snap penalty is a lot of offside stuff. I mean, is that a product of that a little bit?
I've seen that all year. I don't know if it's lack of discipline or what, but I've seen a lot of that throughout the year. So I don't think the record has anything to do with that.
We can't do much about your playing time, but you feel healthy enough to be playing more?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I'm a starter in this league.
You mentioned, obviously, you've been through situations like this before. How is this one different, maybe 21 or 2020?
All the hype. New facility, made the playoffs, 9-8 2 years in a row. So I would say that adds to the downfall, if you will.
You had conversations of why you're not getting more reps?
Nah, I just go about my business, put on my hard hat, and go to work.
Think you earned some more today?
We'll see.
Have you had conversations about not just the next few games, but where this organization has to go moving forward beyond even these next 2 weeks?
Have I had conversations? Yeah. No, that's way above my pay grade.
So we start today's program here, the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade, with that interview, with that post-game sound from the locker room last week after the 19-14 loss to the Raiders. Because, Hayes, again, that is the most tangible interview audio from a player that I have for you, that we can present to you as media members privileged enough to go into that locker room and hear from the players on the record. That is what I have for you in terms of the frustration that I know so many fans want change, that certain things are not working long-term, let alone this season. Dewey Wingard laid out a couple of them there. Certainly the news that, well, yes, he did suffer a pretty devastating knee injury the second week of training camp that kept him out until early November, late October. He, the last few weeks, if not the last month or so, has been healthy enough to play defensive snaps and has been limited to special team snaps, despite the fact that Ryan Nielsen's defense operates with hockey shifts. So that's going to be the headliner, I think, coming out of that post-game availability. But I do think the other answer that he gave that brings us to where do the Jaguars go from here, when he was asked about penalties and lack of discipline. And he suggested, I've seen that all year. That was, again, as pointed a comment as we have heard these last few weeks as things have gone from bad to worse.
Yeah, without a doubt, a lot of insightful things there from Dewey Wingard. And, I would say that, to me, this speaks of the entire Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson era and how it's completely collapsed and fallen apart from a accountability standpoint. Dewey Wingard, who thinks he's Ed Reed, has these comments.
I knew you couldn't go much further without saying it. Yes.
In the locker room. He thinks he's Ed Reed. Comes out and makes these comments and gets rewarded as being a captain for this game. I mean, how does that happen? Comes out and criticizes. And look, I'm not saying he is wrong, but it just speaks to how just shattered everything is here. That he comes out and openly criticizes the staff and then gets rewarded as being a captain in the following game. If you want to know where the Jacksonville Jaguars stand, that is the perfect illustration of where things stand. I mean, he's right. Obviously, Doug Peterson, we've talked about it. The play calling and the offense, that's going to be high up in the Doug Peterson obituary story of when it ends here and what should be 8 days from now. That's going to be very high up. But his complete lack of being able to find a competent defensive coordinator has been stunning, considering he'd been a head coach before and had been a successful head coach before. But he hires Mike Caldwell, who had never done it. gets 2 subpar years out of Mike Caldwell, moves on, and somehow finds somebody worse and Ryan Nielsen. And I was wrong. I thought
I'll
Ryan
raise
Nielsen.
my hand too.
Yeah, when you heard him talk, I was stupid enough to be sitting here in August saying, well, don't get used to this guy for very long. He's, we'll be lucky to have him a year or two, and he's going to be a head coach. I mean, he won't even be a defensive line coach in this league next year. And so, again, Dewey isn't wrong. Obviously, Ryan Nielsen was a terrible hire. Obviously, Doug Peterson has done a terrible job of delegating the defense before you even get to the issues with his offense and the stagnation and the delegation to Press Taylor, before you get to the fact that Doug Peterson has lost all edge as exhibited by a cheap shot on your franchise quarterback, where Doug Peterson is then going and hugging DeMeco Ryans after the game, only to be then further embarrassed by the Texans saying 2 or 3 days later from their coach and their GM, well, the Jaguars overreacted. And there was no reaction from the head coach. So, I mean, again, in looking at it, there are anything that could be wrong is wrong with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But Wingard's comments and then being rewarded by being named a captain for the home finale, just stunning, striking lack of accountability here in Jacksonville.
Speaks to the dysfunction. One last note on Dewey before we do hear from Doug Peterson. I was asked a few weeks ago about, again, which players I felt like were being a little more vocal about discontent, about the current state of affairs. And so many people said, well, Dewey has to say something, right? He's the emotional leader of this team. It was always the Jags, trademarked by Andrew Wingard. Please don't quote me for that, Dewey. Don't try to take my money now. And I said, we had him on the Terminix Kickoff show. I did a one-on-one with him. We had him on the week he returned from the reserve injured list. And he was as subdued as I have heard him in his 6 years here in Jacksonville. And I think part of that is because no one bought into Doug Peterson more in 2022. No one believed in that man more than Andrew Wingard. And quite frankly, he's let him down. He's not only let the city down and let the team down, et cetera, but for someone who went on television and said, I would take a bullet for Doug Peterson to now be in this situation, I understand where the frustration lies for Andrew Wingard and so many other players and so many of you listening right now to the Terminix Kickoff show. Let's hear from the head coach. This was on Monday. Doug Peterson was asked why he hasn't been able to get through to this team comparatively to others he's coached.
I think I have been able to get through to them. I think what happens sometimes is players, having been there before and being on teams that, sometimes, and I haven't been on many teams or coached many teams that go through this, but I think sometimes you look to do more than what we ask you to do, right? You do take things in your own hands from time to time. And I'm not saying guys are going off the reservation or anything like that, but it adds to, right? It adds to our situation. We just ask them to do their job.
On Friday, Doug Peterson, a couple days later, was asked if he is worried about Jaguars players checking out with 2 games left.
I mean, there's always a possibility, but again, I think that falls on me to make sure that doesn't happen and keep everybody engaged in the coaching staff. And again, once you play and you kick the ball off on Sunday, everybody's engaged and locked in, so wouldn't expect too much of that.
I said a few weeks ago, Hayes, that I felt like we were in the Doug Marrone of November 2020 phase of the cycle, and we are all the way there now if we weren't before.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, obviously, changes need to happen. Doesn't have to happen today, doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but absolutely has to happen a week from Monday. If this organization is going to move forward, it's got to move forward with new leadership. I mean, that's just blindly obvious to anybody who's had to endure watching this team this season. This isn't a fluke. This isn't they had some bad things happen. If you give him more time, he can correct it in 2025. He can't do it.
And an EVP is not going to change the situation right now, both the head coaching situation and the front office general manager situation?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think Shad needs to hire an EVP, but in addition to a new GM and a new head coach. And, and so it's sad. Look, I thought, Doug Peterson, when he arrived, I thought he would be a fantastic hire. He obviously gave us a great first season, one that was incredibly fun to cover, and I'm sure for the fans, incredibly fun to watch. Got off to a great start in his second year, challenging for that number 1 overall seed. But it has fallen apart. He has lost control here, and you're not going to get it back. You need a total change in leadership, top to bottom here. Obviously, you can't change the owner, and Shad is a good owner in a lot of ways. He's hands-off. He doesn't make football decisions. He is willing to spend on whatever it takes. But in this case, he does need, and it's been clear in the disintegration of the Balky-Peterson era, he needs that layer of an EVP that can be his eyes and ears here. So hopefully that'll happen moving forward. Obviously, we've got lots of time to talk about that. Probably in the next 6 weeks moving ahead. But we're beyond a reasonable doubt with Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. There is no sliver here where I can say, well, I think this and that, and maybe give him another year. It's unfortunate, but this is pro football. It's the ultimate poker game. It is the hardest sport to excel in because of the parity, and they are falling further and further away from contention, from those elite teams. The gap is growing. It will only continue to grow if these men are kept in place here.
There is still a football game to be played here today. 2 more football games, as a matter of fact, for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 2024 season. They will host the Tennessee Titans today, who are coming off of a 38-30 loss in Indianapolis to the Colts, who still somehow, some way, Hayes, despite losing the AFC South and the rights to potentially win that division crown, are still technically alive in the postseason race, which, if that's not an indictment on the Jacksonville Jaguars and an opportunity squandered this season, I'm not sure what is. The Titans, to their credit, were down 2 scores at halftime of this game. They rallied to score 15 points in the fourth quarter. Mason Rudolph was 23 of 34 for 252, 7.4 yard per completion average, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. He is expected to get the start today for the Titans over Will Levis, who did start the last time these two teams faced in Nashville.
I've never seen anything like this, where Levis and Rudolph have the exact same stats, basically. Now, Rudolph, I think, presents more of a challenge than Levis. But Levis is 63.7% passing this year, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks, 79.8 passer rating. Mason Rudolph, 63.8% completion, 8 touchdowns, 8 picks, 79.8% passer rating. They've been identical. But I think Rudolph will be more of a challenge today for the Jaguars than Levis was. Levis missed everything in that first meeting against the Jaguars. I mean, other than 1 or 2 throws, I mean, he couldn't see, he couldn't diagnose, he wasn't accurate. It was one of the worst displays of quarterbacking that I've seen. Rudolph, while not very talented, certainly not the athlete Levis is, I think he'll see things, and honestly, between what he's been able to establish with tight end Chigga, with Calvin Ridley having that playmaking ability, and Spears out of the backfield, while that's certainly not a murderer's row of guys you have to stop, for a Jaguar defense that can't stop anything, I think that will be enough for a savvy quarterback to present some problems today. I don't think they're going up and down the field, but I do think the Titans will be more potent than we saw in that first meeting, where Levis literally, I mean, it was an F- game from that quarterback.
Well, we will get to our keys to the game coming up in hour number 2. But of note, we also will get to the fair and fair injury report after we talk to Frank Frangie, the voice of your Jaguars. Do want to make a note, though. Tony Pollard will not play, did not travel with the Tennessee Titans due to the flu. That is going to be a major storyline, given the fact that to open that game in Nashville, the Titans ran the ball 8 straight times, and as we illustrated at length over the next week after that victory, a 10-6 win for the Jaguars, Hayes, we still don't know why the Titans went away from the run. Could they still lean into the run even without their lead tailback today? Let's ask the voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Frank Frangie joins us on the other side. We are off and rolling here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Pro-Jax Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projaxroofingfl.com.
For 79 years, each Gator Bowl game wrote a chapter in a story filled with excitement, celebrity, and a touch of drama. The game has seen iconic coaches like Bear Bryant, Vince Dooley, and of course, Bobby Bowden. Football stars like Larry Zonka, Archie and Peyton Manning, and Michael Vick. The 80th chapter features Duke and number 14 Ole Miss. Thursday, January 2nd in primetime on Bill Gay Grounds at Everbank Stadium. Tickets on sale now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Go inside the huddle with our QB, David Garrard.
Hey, I know if you give me time, baby, we can do whatever we want.
And get into the head of an NFL signal caller. Mondays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Brought to you by WaterboyJax.com on 1010XL.
Why do you choose Farah and Farah? First, we have the financial resources to take on any insurance company. And our track record proves that we know how to win. Our attorneys and staff are a team, and we've worked together for decades. To us, our job is much more than just a paycheck. We love to help. And this is important. We never forget. It's not about us. It's all about you. Farah and Farah, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Welcome back into the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. We are live at Tailgaters Parking, Growlers Bar and Grill. Mia O'Brien, Hayes Carlyon. No rain just yet. Frank Frangie joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline as he makes his way to the stadium to call today's contest. Any rain by you, Frank, knowing we do have about a 50% chance of thunderstorms beginning at 1 o'clock.
Good morning, Mia, to you and Hayes. And not yet. It's kind of cloudy here, but I'm such an optimist, Mia. I see just one little piece of brightness, and that tells me it's going to be sunny and beautiful. That's how I roll. Okay, so just a little bit of brightness, but nah, it's not raining yet, but it's kind of dreary around, just like it is with you guys, I'm afraid.
Manifest it, Frank. Manifest it. Normally, I'm proponent number one of, hey, let's say that it's not going to rain. Let's bring the umbrella. Let's bring the rain jacket. Right. And by doing so, it won't rain. But at the same time, I don't know if the weather will play a factor, good or bad, when it comes to these two teams who, quite frankly, they've suffered from inadequate quarterback play over the last few weeks, to say the least, with backups expected to start for both the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But also two teams, Frank, that honestly, the rain might be a good thing because it may force them to finally run the ball, something that they both have done decently throughout the 2024 season.
Yeah, and I would think, Mia, that's the game plan for both teams, even if it wasn't raining. Some of the passing coaches will say a light rain actually benefits the offense because the receiver knows where he's going and the defender doesn't. They don't want wind and they don't want a downpour, but a lot of offensive coordinators, passing game guys, want a little bit of that light rain. But I agree with you. You got to run the ball. Tony Pollard, very quietly, he's had a 1,000-yard season for a miserable season for the Titans, just like it's been a tough year for the Jags. One of the bright spots is, and by the way, no one's ever going to talk about that because one of the greatest running backs of our generation was on the Titans and is now chewing it up for the Ravens, right? So we forget about the fact that Pollard's been pretty good for them. But I think they're going to run the ball. Mason Rudolph's now their quarterback. He's okay, but he's not a guy that's going to beat you by throwing for 350 yards. And I agree with you. The Jags need to run the football. They Tank Bigsby. Now, he's got to take care of the ball. He's fumbled it 6 times. He's had 6 lost fumbles in his career. That's too many for this young in his career. But I think both teams, to your point, need to run the football. I think that's going to be the game plan for both squads. I agree with you on that.
Hey, Frank, Will Levis was just dreadful in the first meeting a couple weeks ago where the Jaguars got the win in Nashville. I agree. Mason Rudolph is a journeyman at best. But I do worry a little bit about him being effective today because of the matchup and because if he gets the same kind of opportunities that Levis got in the first meeting, I think Mason Rudolph is going to cash those opportunities in.
Yeah, I do too. I agree with you, Hayes. Will Levis wasn't very good in that first game. He missed open guys. He never got them into a rhythm. Mason Rudolph's an average player. He's average at best. But we've seen the veteran quarterbacks that's played well against the Jaguars, the guys that kind of understand what you're doing playing against. And the Jaguars secondary has been so young. I mean, now the three cornerbacks now are Tyson Campbell, who's kind of young, really good player, but kind of young, and Monteric Brown, and then the third corner is Trey Prince, who's really young. So yeah, it's a young secondary. I agree with you on that. I think Mason Rudolph will be better against the Jags. One of the reasons the Jags beat the Titans is because Will Levis wasn't very good, to your point. And Mason Rudolph will be better than Will Levis was in that game. I agree with that. But it is a backup quarterback game. To Mia's point, you got two backup quarterbacks playing. I expect a low-scoring game. I expect a lot of running in the game. I'd be surprised. Whoever gets to 24 probably wins this game. I think that's the kind of game we have today.
Not to look back, Frank, because I don't think anyone wants to remember last week's 19-14 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. Although, certainly the Helmets and Heels staff, we had a wonderful time out there at Circa. I know you guys enjoyed your time as well, Frank, minus the game. What was your biggest takeaway from that loss last week, the weekend before Christmas?
Yeah, I just think, well, I mean, there's a bunch of things, but I think more than anything else, the struggles with the Jaguars' defense, more than two things. The Jaguars' defense, I don't think Aiden O'Connell's very good. He's better than some of the guys they've played against. But I think the fact that the Raiders were able to go up and down the field a bunch, I think that's one of the things that concerned me. I didn't think the Raiders would have much luck offensively. They actually aren't bad defensively, but I was surprised that they went up and down the field. I know it was only a 19-14 game, but it felt like they went up and down the field. And the other thing that stood out to me is, and I'm not trying to dump on one guy because the bottom line is a lot of players have played poorly, but the Jags have really struggled at the quarterback position. I think that's the other thing. I think, once again, the Jags had a chance at the end of the game, because it was a game of two middling teams, to come back and find a way to win the game. And that's been really the story of their season is 9 one-possession. And by the way, I got to be careful how I say this. It's 9 one-possession losses, which is an NFL record, by the way. But it almost sounds like you say, well, they're pretty good. They just messed up at the end. I'm not saying that. When you're 3-12, you're 3-12. But I thought even at the end of the game, and I'm rooting for Mac Jones. He's a Jacksonville guy, and I hope he does great. I've always said that. But a check down on 4th and 11 stunned me. It just stunned me that you would check it down on 4th and 11 to people say, well, Dearness Johnson shouldn't have been in the game. Well, it would have mattered if Barry Sanders was in the game. You can't check it down to a running back 3 yards over the line of scrimmage on 4th and 11. And I think that's a microcosm of the struggles of the quarterback play of late. So if anything jumped off the page for me, it would probably be that.
No Walker Little today at left tackle. How do you think Doug Peterson and company will adjust the offense, if at all, with Cole Van Lanen being in there?
He's played pretty well, Hayes. Of all the things that have not gone well, the offensive line as a group in about the last 4 weeks, has been graded pretty high. He's played okay. Walker Little, by the way, has played very well since he became the left tackle. Better than I thought he would play. Better than Cam Robinson was playing. Better than he had ever played. That's why it's a shame he got hurt. I don't see a lot changing, Hayes, in terms of the game plan. Like we talked about at the top, it's going to be wet. You got backup quarterbacks playing, and with the Jags, other than number 7, who's pretty good, I'm told. Other than that, it's a bunch of young receivers. Calvin Ridley's had a good year for them, but he's best when you throw it over the top. And I wouldn't think you're going to allow a lot of balls over the top in this game. So I would think the offensive plan for the Jags is going to be what you've seen. We'll give the ball to Tank Bigsby. A lot of those short passing games. I would look for that, Hayes, regardless of who's in there playing. If you watch it, we all watched the Chiefs the other day, right? How many times did Patrick Mahomes take a snap and fired it out to one of the receivers as a wide receiver screen? Didn't it seem like an inordinate amount of those? And we've seen that in the league a lot. The Jags really got their offense going the last couple of weeks when they just snap it and fired out to Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver screen. So my guess is you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of passing plays that look like running plays. I think that'll be the game plan today.
Frank Frangie joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. He, of course, will be on the call today at 1 p.m. from Everbank Stadium with the Hall of Famer Tony Baselli, Jeff Lageman, Bucky Brooks. Hey, while we're here, a shout-out to Fred Taylor, one of 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Would love nothing more than to see Freddie T and the second-ever Jacksonville Jaguar enshrined into Canton this summer. Let's stay on the task at hand, though, Frank. The Tennessee Titans. This is a team that, look, as much as I think the expectation was that it would be in reloading mode under Brian Callahan, rebuilding mode, a first-year head coach, they still have Jeffrey Simmons on this roster. I think they've gotten more return out of Tavondre Sweat than they expected. And so certainly when you look at this Titans team, that defensive front has to be priority number one on the scouting report, right?
No question. That because Sweat has been so good as a rookie, and Simmons might be, he's up there with Chris Jones. I mean, he might be as good a defensive tackle as there is in the league. I mean, he's a really good player, and Sweat has been fantastic for them as a rookie. So, yeah, those two guys have been really good. You know what's interesting, Mia? What happens with an NFL team, and I'm a big believer in it, when you have a coach, I watched it with Tom Coughlin here 100 years ago. When you have a coach whose personality is so dominant to what that team is, then when that coach changes, you have to find yourself. When the Ravens finally go to a new coach, because the matter-of-fact thinking of John Harbaugh and great special teams has been such a big part of what they are. When the Steelers finally move on from Mike Tomlin, because his toughness and his let's be a grown man persona has been such a big part of them, that things change. Mike Vrabel was a tough guy, man. He was a tough guy. We're going to win the fight. We're going to, Hayes like to say, the street fight. We're going to win the street fight every game. And now he's not the coach anymore. They brought in an offensive coordinator to be the head coach. And I think they're trying to find their way, if that makes some sense. I think that's where the Titans are. I think they're a proud franchise that's always been tougher, that always wins the street fight. And that's why I think Brian Callahan took it so personally when they said the team's soft. Wait a minute, we're the Titans. We're not soft. We're tough guys. Well, that does feel a little bit different with Mike Vrabel gone. So that's what I think of the Titans. But I agree with you. That defensive front's pretty good. I mean, that's the one thing. Look, they're fifth in the league in total defense. They're 3-12, but it hadn't been the defense. When you're fifth in the league, you're pretty good. So you got to find a way against that defensive front. I agree with that.
Do you think Mason Smith is starting to come into his own?
Starting to, Hayes. He really is starting. Coming into his own might be a little strong, but yeah, we're starting to see the flashes. That if you look at the things that have gone wrong in this season, there's a handful of things, but the inability to find defensive tackles has been a crusher for the Jaguars. It's one of the reasons that the ends haven't been as good, because Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, they've been chipped or doubled on almost every play, certainly on every passing play. So they couldn't possibly have as good a numbers as they've had in the past. And I think that's affected them. They've had to find defensive tackles. Devon Hamilton has not been nearly what he was before. They've tried Tyler Lacy. They've tried Jeremiah Ledbetter. They've tried Big O. They've tried Jordan Jefferson. Nobody's been particularly good there, and Devon hasn't been particularly good there. So it's a hard league, man, when you can't find any defensive tackles that are playing well. Mason Smith is starting to flash a little bit. He's a great talent. First of all, he was a little out of shape when he was a healthy scratch a few times, just because he just didn't keep himself in great shape. Then he kind of got in better shape and had the ankle injury, so he's had a lot of setbacks for various reasons. He's playing better. I think I see him. Coming into his own. Maybe not quite yet, but I think your point's dead on. I think we've seen flashes from '94, and man, as we move forward, they need him to be a good player.
Before we get your two X factors, one for the Jaguars, one for the Titans, Frank, I would be remiss if I didn't circle back to the way we began this program. We began this program by listening back to Dewey Wingard's availability following the loss to the Raiders last week, his pointed comments, and then as Hayes alluded to, after perhaps the most direct comments we've heard from players that have been a critique of the current regime, he was named a game day captain for today's game. Mm-hmm. If you could, whichever way you want to take this question, how would you assess where this team is now and what is to come over the next 8+ days?
Yeah, I see. Well, that's two different questions, but let me start with the Dewey thing. I heard you guys at the top, and I probably see this a little bit differently. When everything goes bad, Mia, this was a season. It's going to be a little bit of a long answer, so indulge me. When this is a season where everything went bad. There's been a lot of seasons in the Jaguar history, Mia, where the Jags haven't been very good. but we kind of expected maybe not very good. You with me on that? We weren't shocked. This season shocked us, all of us. It shocked them. It shocked the league. It shocked the players and the coaches and the fans. We all thought they were going to be pretty good. Maybe not 12, 13 wins good, but 9 or 10 wins good. I don't know anybody that didn't think this team was going to win a minimum of 9 or 10 games. And then it all went to pot. And when that happens, every little thing gets magnified. The minute a guy misses a tackle, he's the worst player ever. Why was he in there? The minute a guy drops a pass, I think that's what happened. So now the Dewey thing gets magnified, and I heard you guys at the top. And with all due respect, I think this is it's a guy that says I should be playing more, and I think that the coaches probably said, he's probably right. That's all I think it was. I think this is the guy that said, listen, I should be playing more. Sports are full of guys that say I should be playing more. Every backup in the league and every sport and every level thinks I should be playing more. And this is Dewey saying, look, I should have been in there. I should be playing. That's all I took out of it. I should be playing more. And I think that the coaches said he's right. And you know what? We need a spark. We need somebody to give us a little energy. We were wrong. I think if you asked them, he was going to be a starter. Dewey was going to be a starter on the team. He was a starting safety. That was the plan. He was going to start next to Cisco, and they were going to develop Antonio Johnson. I can tell you that was the plan in July. And then he got hurt. And then when he came back, they probably should have put it. Once he was healthy enough to play special teams, he should have been a starting safety. But they weren't sure he was healthy enough, and the safety play continued to struggle. So they finally put him in there, and he gets 3 pass breakups, and he said, look, I should have been playing all along. I get it. Every backup in the league thinks I should be playing more. The coach is saying, yeah, he was probably right. To me, that's all that was. It wasn't a symptom of all that's wrong with the Jacksonville Jaguars and how do you make it. So my take's a little different. I think as a guy that thought he should be playing more, he said I should be playing more. They agreed he should be playing more. That's all that was. Back to how it connects to everything, Mia, in these next 8 days. Look, I got to believe the die is cast. Whether everybody's back, everybody's fired, half the people are back, half the people are fired, it's all blown up. I can't believe much can happen today and next Sunday in Indianapolis that affects that very much. So in my mind, I think whatever, and I have no idea, by the way, what Shad Khan's going to do, but wouldn't you think that whatever he's going to do at this point, he's already decided? I've got to believe he has.
I'm in the same boat, and I think Hayes is as well, that the decision has already been made. Has your decision been made? Who is your X factor, Frank, for the Jaguars in today's contest and for the Tennessee Titans?
Well, let me get to bigger news than that, me. I'll get to that in a minute, but let me get to bigger news. Here on the south side of Jacksonville, Florida, I see the sun. You guys see the sun yet? Is there any sun down there?
Yeah, a little. Yeah. It's good to see.
I'm all about the news, Hayes. You know that. I'm about breaking important news here. Okay, that's what this is.
You've got the Super Doppler over there.
Yes, I've got Super Doppler. I'm a Doppler guy, and the sun came out here. So I'm going to cop out on you here, Mia. I'm going to take the 2 easy guys. I'm going to take Tony Pollard and Tank Bigsby, one for each team, because I can't believe either team's going to win. I think, remember the old college games, Hayes, when Florida and Tennessee played and whoever rushed for the most yards won the game? Remember that?
Yeah, that was a great stat.
Wasn't that a great stat like for all these years? I think this is that game. I think whichever team rushes for the most yards is going to win the game. I don't think Mack or Mason Rudolph will have big games here. I don't think that's where these teams are. So I think whichever of those 2 running backs. So Mia, give me Tank and give me Tony Pollard, both of whom are good players. And I think whichever team runs those.
Frank, would you be okay with Tajay Spears, given Tony Pollard has the flu, and as Jeremy Fowler reported late yesterday, he is unclear whether or not he was even going to travel with the team, let alone play today?
Oh, you're one step ahead of me. That I've been out of town. I think that changes the game significantly. By the way, I think if they don't have Tony Pollard, and he's already over 1,000 yards, so he could play, I'd be surprised. Unless, and again, I've been out of pocket for a couple of days. If they don't have Pollard, I can't imagine them winning the game today. I mean, Tajay Spears is rushed for 200 yards. He's at 217 yards on the season. Their backups aren't very good. If they don't have Pollard, I can't imagine them winning the game today. So no, I wouldn't be. As a Jaguar fan, it wouldn't bother me, you know. So, but I think you got to run the football to win the game today. Either team, regardless of what backs, I think you got to run the football to win the game today.
Rain or shine, run the ball. Frank Frangie, of course, will be on the call today at 1 p.m. We appreciate you joining us as you do each and every Sunday here on the Garber Auto Mall hotline on the Terminix Kickoff Show. See you soon, Frank.
Okay, me and Hayes. See you shortly.
There he goes. Again, we'll be on the call at 1 p.m. with the Hall of Famer Tony Baselli, Jeff Lageman, Bucky Brooks right here on the Superstation 1010 XL. Of course, available on terrestrial radio at 1010 AM and 92.5 FM. We are with you for a little bit more than an hour to go here on the Terminix Kickoff Show. Still a whole heck of a lot to do. Hayes and I will give you our X Factors for today's contest. We'll also visit the Farrah and Farrah injury report. We will clarify Tony Pollard, Amani Hooker, both downgraded to out late last night, according to the Tennessee Titans public relations team. And so that certainly will affect the dynamic of not only today's contest, but perhaps who our X Factors are. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
Injured in an accident that's not your fault? Don't worry, Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan at Von Rowan Law, and over the past 20 years, I have fought to recover millions for my clients throughout Jacksonville. If you've been injured in an accident, have mounting medical bills, can't work, don't worry. Zach's got your back. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve and will be there every step of the way. Go to Zach'sGotYourBack.com to set up your free consultation with me today. Zach'sGotYourBack.com.
Hey, Jacksonville Koozies, it's me, Soccer Sam, for Salvatore's Pizza. Rochester, New York's favorite pizza is now open in Jacksonville, Florida, Tapestry Park at the Loft Hotel Plaza. Daily $10 deals, dine in with beer and wine, and delivery at Salvatore's.com. The famous Formoso family brings Salvatore's Pizza, Rochester's favorite pizza, including our 32-piece sheet pizza for your next event. Go with me, baby. Salvatores.com.
It's the end of the year sale with Universal Roof and Contracting. Get 15% off all roof repairs and replacements, plus a $250 gift card for holiday shopping. With financing options as low as $150 a month, protecting your home's never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP, and this offer expires December 31st. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Everything about the game has changed, except for the most important thing. What you have inside. It is what drives the game. It refuses to be ignored. It sweats everything, turns an athlete into a legend. Gatorade, is it in you?
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. 1010XL is presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. The personal injury attorneys of Farrah and Farrah present this injury update. Farrah and Farrah.
Jacksonville.
Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, you know what, Hayes Carlyon? We're trying to wake up on this fine Sunday morning, this Terminix Kickoff Show. We're trying to get you as fired up as we possibly can for Jaguars Titans. Let's call an audible. Let's switch it up. Let's begin the Farrah and Farrah injury update with the Tennessee Titans, because that is certainly the biggest breaking news with regards to today's contest at Everbank Stadium. Again, in case you missed it, both Tony Pollard and Amani Hooker, the star running back, lead tailback for the Titans, and a starting safety, were both downgraded from questionable to out late yesterday. They have not traveled to Jacksonville for today's contest. Pollard was limited throughout the course of the week and did not practice for the Titans because of an ankle injury. Now he has come down with the flu. He will not play. Tajay Spears will be the lead tailback for the Tennessee Titans here this afternoon, and Amani Hooker will not play due to a shoulder injury. That means that there are now 6 Tennessee Titans already ruled out of today's game. The kicker, Nick Folk, will not play because of an abdomen injury. Dylan Radunz, who I don't know if he's a guard, if he's a tackle, I feel like it changes by the week.
Yeah, utility guy.
Yeah, he will not play because of a shoulder injury. The linebacker Otis Reese also will not play because of an ankle injury. And wide receiver Colton Dowell also ruled out because of a knee injury. In addition to those players, wide receiver Tyler Boyd is questionable with a foot injury after he did not practice throughout the course of the week. And so once again, Hayes, I sound like a broken record, needless to say. But in this regards, for those who have said, well, the Jaguars season was derailed by injuries, don't get me wrong. Early injuries to Tyson Campbell, Foye Oluokun, certainly not having your quarterback, your tight end, and wide receiver 1-2, depending how you view Christian Kirk, let alone the fact that Gabe Davis, who was supposed to give you a valuable asset at the wide receiver position, are all done for the season. Yes, those are significant injuries, but the idea of looking at an injury report and seeing 6-7 guys ruled out, that isn't necessarily the reality here in Jacksonville and hasn't been for some time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Jaguars, their problems go beyond attrition. That they have had injuries, but I mean the season was pretty well ruined by the time the injuries really became, I think, crippling. Which I would say now they are. I mean, if you're down, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Walker Little, Gabe Davis, Darnell Savage, Ventrell Miller, that's obviously that's a lot to have to deal with. But again, I keep coming back to just on third down. They're 8 points difference, the Jaguars. I mean, that's a discrepancy that you almost never see in this league. They're 35.6% offensively on third down. They give it up at a 43.4% clip. Is a team as bad as the Titans, they're much better. They're 37.1% offensively on third down, 39.9% defensively. So, less than 3 points there for a team with the same record as the Jags. The Jaguars, 8 points difference on the biggest down in football. So, again, it's the injuries, yes, have been a factor, particularly in this last 5-6 weeks. But, again, it's not why this has derailed.
To the Jaguars side of the injury report we go. As Hayes alluded to, Walker Little, the starting left tackle, ruled out of this game, a high ankle sprain. Don't really expect to see him in the season finale either next week against the Indianapolis Colts. And so Cole Van Lanen will get an extended audition as the swing tackle.
Would you have liked to have seen Javon Foster get at least something in
I think he's going to have to be active today, right?
Sure.
I would think. I mean, by the sheer numbers game, I think he's going to have to be active. And so maybe you see a little bit of run from the fourth-round pick out of Mizzou. But I also think that Cole Van Lanen, who we talked about it before the season, got off to an inauspicious 1-4 start. He was a guy who, if only by PFF metrics, was the top-rated Jaguar during the preseason, someone who coaches raved about his training camp and his off-season program, and someone who has earned that role as the swing tackle for this team. But yes, you did invest a fourth-round pick in Javon Foster. Would have liked to have seen him. Maybe you will. And I'm curious because, look, Anton Harrison has been banged up as well. He left the game last week with a shoulder injury, was able to gut it out. He missed the Tennessee Titans game a few weeks ago because he woke up in Nashville with presumably some type of flu. I don't think it ever actually was diagnosed, but I know it wasn't a pretty scene. Let's just call it that way. And so that's where I think you still may see him by the sheer numbers game of they haven't added anyone from the practice squad. Oh, and by the way, while we're on the subject of the injury report, the team did release DJ Coleman on Friday from the practice squad, a player who had been elevated 2 weeks ago to the active roster. And so the fact that they haven't actually added anybody to the active roster is rather fascinating to me and says to me that we will see Foster at the very least finally get a game day jersey today.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get out there and get some time. I mean, like to your point, you invested a fourth-round pick in him. It's not like your franchise quarterback is out there. It'd be different maybe if Trevor was still playing. And you're like, I don't know that we want to put this rookie out there. We're still a little uncomfortable if he's ready. Well, I mean, your backup quarterback's playing, and somebody that, may not be here. Mac Jones may have 2 more games here. He's a free agent, so who knows what the market will dictate for him. But I'd like to see it. I mean, again, it speaks to try to at least make as many positives in this as you can in a lost season. And one of those positives for me would be, Cole Van Lanen is a nice player, but let's see what Javon Foster can do. Let's give him, 40, 50 reps over these last 2 weeks just to for him to get an idea of what he needs to work on, and for the staff and the future staff to have an idea of, can this guy walk and chew gum at the same time at this level?
2 other Jaguars have been ruled out of today's contest. Darnell Savage remains in the concussion protocol. That is why you can expect a heavy dose, in my estimation, Hayes, of Dewey Wingard at the starting safety position and just mere snap count on the defensive side of the ball.
That's Captain Dewey Wingard.
Captain Dewey Wingard. He was a captain last year. We all forget. Ventrell Miller also ruled out of this game due to an ankle injury that he suffered early on in the loss to the Las Vegas Raiders last week. Some other notes, Yasir Abdullah did not practice on Friday with an illness. He is questionable for today's game. Devon Hamilton missed Wednesday and Thursday's practice due to an illness, but he was a full go on Friday, as was Brandon Scherf, Brenton Strange, and Ezra Cleveland. And so all of those players do not have a game status designation. We alluded to it when we spoke with Frank Frangie, and as we get ready to make our X Factor proclamations here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Hayes, I am going to circle back. My X Factor in today's contest is Mason Smith, and I would like to give kudos to Mason Smith, who was as transparent as I've heard any rookie in my 6+ years here in Jacksonville when asked about the reality of he was a healthy scratch multiple times early in his rookie season.
I feel like really when we got back from London is where I really started to, try to find that, and when we got back, inevitably it just so happened that I hurt my ankle. But, I feel like my progression would have been going straight from there, but just really probably after we left London, after I sat out the Patriots game, just for some wrongdoings that I did. But, after that, it kind of, made me take a step back and look at it from the outside looking in. So, I had to change some things.
Some wrongdoings that I did. We haven't gotten clarification of what those wrongdoings were.
Conditioning.
Okay, but it's at either way, it's as forward and as honest as I've heard a rookie in some time.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it because it's also a player who not only, as Frank alluded to, has flashed the last few weeks, you need him moving forward, especially, quite frankly, because, look, you have other holes on this team. You can't say, well, we're just going to go out and spend another premium pick on a defensive tackle and then also an edge rusher, and also on a corner and maybe a guard. At some point in time, you invested a second-round pick in a guy who's supposed to be a starter for you, and at the very least, you're starting to see returns on that investment right now, even if it wasn't a full season's worth.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, I thought Mason played well against the Raiders. You would have certainly loved to see him get O'Connell down there towards the end when O'Connell completes a improbable pass to the sideline to keep a drive going and ultimately get the win. But I think Mason Smith has shown good signs. I think was immature when he got here. Probably didn't take, didn't take the strength and conditioning. The weight issue is serious as he should by his own admission. And, I think there is a lot of promising potential in Mason Smith. I think you're going to see some of that today, and hopefully if he can stay healthy, see it in the finale against Indianapolis. He is hopefully going to be one of the bright spots here in the last couple of weeks. I think for me, an X factor is, let's talk about the kid, the superstar, Brian Thomas Jr. I did think they were more deliberate getting him the ball earlier out in Vegas. You'd love to see that today. I mean, the game plan should be, Brian Thomas Jr., we're going to try and get you 20 catches for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I don't know, maybe the Raiders have done with Brock Bowers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's probably not attainable, but that should be the benchmark. Like, we're going to try to basically break the single game record today to, just keep everybody engaged, but also just to see, how he can produce. I mean, it's been amazing what he's been able to do, and his numbers, entering week 17, he's 6th in receiving yards, tied for 5th in receiving touchdowns. He has 9 touchdowns receiving. The team has 16. I mean, how do you let a rookie has 9 of your 16 at receiving?
And I do think he's a special player.
He is a special player, but that is a ridiculous, lopsided amount that the rookie has given the Jaguars compared to the veterans in that room. But, I mean, to me, an X factor would be, honestly, I mean, I would if I was Mac Jones, if I was Doug Peterson, if I was Press Taylor, I mean, the plan would literally be, let's try to break the NFL single-game record for catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns today with Brian Thomas Jr.
Let's talk matchups for each of those two X factors. So let's start with your X factor of Brian Thomas Jr., Hayes. He will be going up against a cornerback core of Chidobe Awuzie, who I would assume will be their de facto number one corner with L'Jarius Sneed and Quandre Diggs both on IR. Darrell Baker Jr. on the other side. Certainly Jarvis Brownlee, the rookie, has had something to say in the mix there. But on paper, this is a matchup that favors Brian Thomas Jr. Yes?
I absolutely think so. And again, where else are you really going to go with the ball if you're Mac Jones? I mean, you have what looks like a superstar, and then everybody else is sort of a reserve player that, is Britton Strange has had moments but didn't play as well last week as you would have liked. Parker Washington's done some things here and there, but I mean, honestly, it would be a lot of the short stuff that Frank alluded to, and again that we saw last week in Las Vegas with Brian. But I mean, literally, just throw it to him immediately and let him see what he can do. Yards after catch. But I think it's there today. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have the chance to have a enormous day statistically. And look, it's off also what the fans want to see. So if you're the Jaguars, the focus offensively today should be it's the Brian Thomas Jr. show, and let's see if we can put up some really astronomical numbers with him today.
And meanwhile, for Mason Smith and the rest of this Jaguars defensive line, they will go against a Titans offensive line that the expectation was that it was a work in progress, and it has certainly looked like a work in progress. The left tackle, J.C. Latham, has been up and down. Peter Skoronski, the former first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans, now sliding into left guard, has been okay. Daniel Bruskill was not the starting day center. They gave Lloyd Cushenberry a whole heck of a lot of money. He is done for the year, presumably. Dylan Radunz, who we alluded to, is out for today's game. So you're going to have a shuffle along the offensive line front. Excited to hear from John Burton about exactly what we can expect. Jalen Duncan at right tackle, usurping Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, who was a day 2 pick of the Tennessee Titans. And so, again, I feel like we say this every week. This matchup in the trenches, when it comes to the Jaguars' defensive line, as maligned as it is, and the opposing offensive line, certainly favors the Big Cats.
Without a doubt. I would think Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker have an outstanding opportunity to make a lot of plays. Remember Hines-Allen with the crushing hit on Levis in the first meeting as the first half wrapped up. So, yeah, I would think that would certainly benefit the Jags. And look, the Titans might employ some of the same things that we're talking about in light of not having a 1,000-yard rusher in Pollard. Probably a lot of quick game. Mason Rudolph has established a really strong connection with tight end Chig Okonkwo, who's athletic. I mean, he's had a 70-yard touchdown this year on his just short catch and run. So Okonkwo is dangerous when he gets going. He is a good athlete. And so I would think they're going to look a lot at what the Raiders were able to do with Brock Bowers. Not to say that Chig is Brock Bowers. He is not. But stylistically, there's some things that I think the Titans can borrow from what the Raiders did last week that was effective. And Tajay Spears is an excellent receiving back. He is that air back that is becoming so in vogue in the NFL. So, yes, probably not going to hurt the Jaguars a lot between the tackles. But, again, to minimize that rush with Hines-Allen and Walker, I would think Mason Rudolph is looking for a lot of short things today, probably some short things for Ridley as well to try and get him. Can he make a man miss and get an explosive play? I wouldn't think on either side you're going to see a lot of 5-step drop, survey the field, get to my 3rd, 4th progression. I would think ball's coming out pretty fast because I wouldn't think either side. The Titans definitely don't trust their offensive line. The Jaguars, from a pass protection standpoint, have been pretty good, but you are down your left tackle.
Julius Chestnut and Joshua Kelly are the other running backs on the Titans' 53-man roster. Will we hear their number called today? No Tony Pollard, so there is a good chance we will. Let's keep the conversation going on the other side. We'll roll into hour number 2 of the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. Our keys to the game are coming up next right here on the Superstation 1010 XL.
Imagine a place where the sun is always shining, the drinks are ice cold, and the food is bursting with flavor. Welcome to Hurricane Grill and Wings, where locals and visitors alike gather to weather this storm we call life. And then you can escape here anytime you like. Today's forecast, hot, crispy wings with a 100% chance of frothy beers. Later, we're predicting big burgers and seafood tacos moving in. Escape the ordinary. HurricaneWings.com.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL-AM and FM. Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL. Home sweet home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, why is it that when you look at how long a store has been in business, that it always seems to be the stores like Underwood's that sell fine quality that have been around the longest?
Frank, that's a question that really doesn't get asked a lot, but it should be. There are a number of reasons, but probably the biggest is because of the endorsements our longtime customers and their pieces of jewelry have given us through the years. You see, when you sell really fine quality jewelry, that piece will last longer and always stay beautiful. It might stay in the same family for generations. And through those years of wear, a lot of compliments will be made and a lot of people will be told where the piece of jewelry came from. You see, at a store like Underwood's, it's our stated goal to be the best jeweler in the South, not the biggest. So everything we do and carry has to help move us toward that goal. And ultimately, it's the satisfied customers wearing fine quality jewelry that have kept Underwood's in Jacksonville since 1928.
Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Every bowl season has its gems.
Amazing, isn't it?
Take 1010XL's Ultimate Bowl Challenge, and you could win $1,000 of jewelry from Beard's Diamonds.
Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready.
Log on to 1010XL.com and start picking.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the keys to the game. Brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional, honest locksmith service.
We gave you our X Factors. Here are our keys to the game as we kick off hour number 2 of the Terminix Kickoff Show, the final home game for the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade, live here at Tailgaters Parking, Growlers Bar and Grill. If you are here on site, stop on by, say hi. I don't want to say it, Hayes, but our friend Frank Frangie manifested the sunshine.
Yeah,
we
it's
do
nice.
see the sun coming through.
The temperature-wise, it's fine.
It's amazing. It's a little over 70 degrees. Our friends at Terminix did give us sunglasses, and I forgot my sunglasses. I'm tempted to put a pair on.
Absolutely.
So what do you want more than, if you didn't bring your sunglasses, than a pair of Terminix sunglasses, which we have on site, as well as some fun stuff from our friends at Beach's Dermatology, which means that, hey, if the sun's going to be out, maybe you didn't bring some sunscreen. It's going to be a little bit warmer. We have you hooked up here at the Terminix Kickoff Show live at Growlers Bar and Grill. We also have you hooked up with our keys to the game. I'll kick us off. Hayes. I say Frank because We did want to make sure and clarify that everyone knows Tony Pollard will not be available for today's game for the Tennessee Titans. He did not travel to Jacksonville after coming down with the flu yesterday, did not practice all week with an ankle injury. I asked Doug Peterson on Friday, going back to that first meeting between these two teams about 3 weeks ago, Hayes, in which the Titans led the game, their opening script, 8 straight run plays. Pollard was a huge part of that. And I asked Doug the factor that he could play in today's game if he, obviously now he's not playing, but what that does to the dynamic of the Titans offense.
Yeah, he's a big part of the run game, obviously. Good running back. Look, it's always been sort of the next man up mentality, I think, with every team. And I wouldn't expect them to try to do anything different, in the run game, quite honestly. I still think that themselves and us, that's what you try to establish in games like this.
Try to establish the run, but also the Jaguars trying to establish the run. That's as we've really, I think, exhausted the no Tony Pollard facet of this game and what that means to the Titans offense. Now, hearing from Doug Peterson, I agree with him. I think they are still going to run the ball, even if, to Frank Frangie's point, Tajay Spears only has 200-plus rushing yards on the season. I do think they will still try to pound the rock because that could open things up for Mason Rudolph in the passing game. The Jacksonville Jaguars needing to emphasize the run. What say you on that topic, Hayes? Have they actually done that the last 16 weeks?
No, I don't think they've done it, but I do think with Bigsby and ETN they can do it today. And again, they need to. We know what Mac Jones is. He's decent as a backup, but it's going to be hard for him to go out and put you on his back and carry you to a big offensive performance. So Bigsby does need to hold on to the ball, and really that's the biggest key to this game, is it often is in the NFL. But again, this is probably going to decide it just because both teams are abysmal at it. But the Jaguars and the Titans are minus 15 this season in turnover margin. That's tied for 29th in the NFL. On the Jaguar side of things, it's can they get the ball off of Tennessee? Now, you would like to think so, with Mason Rudolph already throwing 8 interceptions and very limited work.
3 last week against the Colts.
Yeah, so, but the Jags only have 8 takeaways this season. That's the fewest in the league by 3. It's just some of the numbers are just it blows your mind how bad the Jaguars have been in some crucial elements of the game. We talked about third down, but not being able to generate takeaways at all. And so can they do that today? Obviously, Tennessee's had a huge problem with that, regardless of which quarterback has been in. I do think Rudolph doesn't make the just jaw-dropping what was he thinking mistakes that Will Levis has made, but still, can you win the turnover battle today against a team that, like you, can't protect it? So if the Jaguars can do that, they'll have a big-time chance. And again, that's every matchup, but it's important to highlight in this one that they're both so bad at it.
I'm going to tie those two keys to the game together. Tank Bigsby, we obviously heard from Andrew Wingard following the loss to the Raiders last week in the post-game locker room. And Tank Bigsby did not meet with reporters, and honestly, he apologized to us. He was so emotional after the fumble last week. So was Brenton Strange, by the way, who did meet with reporters. That interview is available on our 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Both those two young players taking pride in their performance or lack thereof at this juncture of this lost season, I think, is so important. And it's something that I've really tried to reckon with over the last few weeks, that as much as this is a lost season, if you do have some juice, if you do have some energy, it's coming from that second-year class of Ventrell Miller, Tank Bigsby, Brenton Strange. Those are the guys who have been the loud rally cry leaders for this team, and Tank is certainly one of them. He did meet with reporters on Monday, and once again, very effusive, apologetic to the Jaguars faithful about fumbling yet again last week.
No, it's been real frustrating, man. I couldn't even sleep last night, It's real frustrating, just little things that you can control. And when I see in space, like yesterday, got kind of loose with the ball. Can't do that. Got to keep it to my chest. And that's just learn a mistake, and it can't happen no more. I just got to move on from it and go out and play confident and be who I am.
And that is certainly a key to the game as we get set for this game here today. Another key to the game for me kind of builds off of your X factor for today's contest, Hayes. Brian Thomas Jr., where can he grow? Where perhaps can the Jaguars set him up for success that they haven't already so far? Here is Doug Peterson on the rookie wide receiver from Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a little bit, you haven't seen him out of the backfield as much, different things. You see, a guy like Jamar Chase can come out of the backfield, or, Justin Jefferson out of the backfield, guys like that. I think there's some of that. It just creates matchups, takes double teams away, and then just keep expanding the route tree. There's certain things that we haven't done with him yet that we can, we can continue to work on, and then still emphasize his strengths. So I still think there's room to really grow a little bit more in all that he does.
BTJ out of the backfield, is that something you'd like to see today,
Absolutely,
Carolina?
yeah. I mean, again, this is stuff that you see around the league that the Jaguars just have been slow to incorporate. We talk about the lack of evolving with Doug Peterson's offense. When you watch, it's the same thing he was doing in 2017, by his own admission. The league has just totally changed since then in terms of there's just so many easy things completion-wise you can get to, and we're seeing it around the league. And one of those things is you bring your star receiver in motion, line him up in the backfield, maybe send him the other way, and a short little pass. It happens all the time. They did do a better job last week of deliberately getting Brian Thomas Jr. the ball early. I would do that early and often. I think it's a recipe for huge success today for the Jaguars offensively if Brian Thomas Jr. is on the forefront of their mind throughout the game. And so we'll see. It's been frustrating this year a lot of times when you think a player is going to be featured, they're not.
Poor Parker Washington, by the way.
Right.
Would love to see him get incorporated in some form or fashion today.
Absolutely. And so, I think that's going to be a big key here. And again, it should be there. Again, there's things that the Jaguars can be doing with Brian Thomas Jr. that really don't require any sort of beating the defense, because it's so quick. They're going to give Brian Thomas Jr. cushion. I mean, he's going to have 10 yards of cushion. So
in his own admission,
to take the snap and just throw it right out to him, you're going to complete that.
Right.
Now you just hope that the rookie can make a guy miss and get an explosive play. But yeah, I mean, again, it's been fun watching Brian Thomas Jr. be able to handle. Okay, for the last 2 or 3 games, everyone knows he's head and shoulders the primary weapon you have to stop. It started with the Jets. We saw it with the Raiders, and it hasn't slowed him down. I mean, if anything, his numbers are getting better, and so that is really exciting moving forward about what Brian Thomas Jr. can be in this league.
You alluded to it, Hayes. Brian Thomas Jr. has 9 of the Jaguars' 16 touchdowns. He is tied for 7th in the NFL with 9 receiving touchdowns this year. I want to rattle off the league leaders in receiving touchdowns. And the Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like the other.
Right.
I think you're going to be singing that by the end of this list. Jamar Chase leads the league, obviously one more game played than a lot of these folks because the Bengals did win last night. He has 16 receiving touchdowns on the season. Terry McLaurin, 12 receiving touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 receiving touchdowns. Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, all with 10 receiving touchdowns. And with 9, Brian Thomas Jr., Mike Evans, albeit in 12 games, which speaks to the offensive operation in Tampa Town. We'll talk about that at a later time, needless to say. And also with 9 receiving touchdowns this season, Nick Westbrook-Akine of the Tennessee Titans. Last week in the loss to the Colts, Nick Westbrook-Akine had 2 catches for 17 yards, but you be darned if he didn't have another touchdown grab up there at Lucas Oil Stadium last week.
Yeah, it's a great stat to point out, because how many receptions does he have this year? Like 30? It's like 9. He's got like 9 touchdowns on
25.
On 25 receptions?
Yes, on 47 targets.
That's incredible. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously when they're close, you have to worry about him. He didn't really have much of an impact in the first meeting that the Jaguars won in Nashville. Again, I would put that on Levis more than him, but and Mason Rudolph could certainly get there. I think another big key today is just simply energy. These guys are 8 days away from being off for months. They've been at it every day since like July 25th. So for both these sides, these guys can now sniff the end of this, the end of what has been, at least in Tennessee, they probably didn't have high expectations, but it's a proud franchise. I'm sure they're disappointed in how lousy they've been. And obviously for the Jaguars, it's been one of the most disappointing seasons in franchise history because of the hype, to Andrew Wingard's point, of what we thought this season would be. So who is going to actually want to play in this game? Which sideline is going to have that sizzle to it? That's going to go a long way today, because chances are one of these two teams is no showing today. Again, these guys are 8 days away from being off. Imagine what it was like for you in school when summer break was close.
Or Christmas
Magnify
break.
that by 100, and that's what these NFL players are feeling right now with the finale now just a week away.
Also, don't forget, the Tennessee Titans last week were largely left for dead. They were down 38-15 to the Indianapolis Colts on the road. They did score 15 fourth-quarter points to make it a 38-30 game, which is where I ask you this, Hayes, before we get ready to go behind enemy lines with our friend John Burton of News Channel 5 in Nashville. Brian Callahan, it's got to be back next year, right? You don't buy any hot seat up in Nash Vegas?
I wouldn't think, because, boy, that makes the job unattractive. And you almost, when it's a one-and-done situation, it really has to be incredibly dysfunctional. I think he's done, obviously, a poor job. They should have beaten the Jaguars. They should have been a 12-10 Titans win, but he's one of these guys that can't settle for a field goal, and so he lost the game. And, obviously, he's done a bad job with Will Levis. But I would think...
How much of that is Will Levis versus Brian Callahan?
I would think he's going to get another crack at it. To me, to fire a coach after just one season, it's got to be broken beyond all repair. And obviously, it'll be interesting hearing what John has to say. But I would think as an owner, if you start firing guys after 1 year, that's a tough reputation to shake. So if it's simply X's and O's, I would give Callahan another year, see if he can grow as a head coach and have an opportunity to see if he can improve.
Well, especially, with Mike Vrabel, now the new Vince Lombardi, Dick Butkus out
Right.
on the open head coaching market, according to those teams that already have openings right now and the fan bases and the media members clamoring for who the next coach will be. You would think that Mike Vrabel led the Titans to a Super Bowl. Certainly a great head coach, and to your point earlier in the program, established an identity, a defensive toughness that perpetuated throughout not just the organization but the city up in Nashville, and now bringing in an OC, perhaps, not that Brian Callahan says they're not soft, but maybe taking a little bit of a step back from that tough-nosed identity that the Titans had established in 6+ years under Mike Vrabel. Let's say hello to our friend John Burton up in Nashville of News Channel 5. He did alert me, Hayes, they are not traveling to any more road games right now. It's our good friends up in News Channel 5. It's more of a business decision. So he is up in Nashville, and he joins us next here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade.
Living life on the edge of your seat.
Are you kidding me?
Your front row seat for play-by-play.
Break it free, they're not going to catch you.
1010XL.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Hey, John, are you a small business owner looking to make the most of your investments?
Absolutely. And now is the time to take advantage of some incredible tax deductions.
You can qualify for a 2024 tax deduction for up to 60% of the purchase price of a brand new Cadillac.
Think Escalade, Lyriq, Optic, XT5, and XT6.
We have over 100 in stock at Rainy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville. It's the perfect time to upgrade your business fleet.
This is not tax advice. Consult with your tax advisor for further details and to determine eligibility, plus tax tag title $8.99 admin fee and resist all and approved credit.
Bolt City AC, heating that rules.
Is your AC ready for the holidays? Bolt City Heating and Air ensures your AC stays in tip-top shape. We know that a clean AC is a healthy AC. Upgrade yours for just $96 a month and enjoy free duct cleanings with your new system. Plus, ask about our 0% financing options.
Bolt City AC, we got the crew. Bolt City AC.
Visit BoltCityAC.com.
You've heard fish stories, and Captain Kevin has a million of them.
We love to tell stories, hear your stories.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Big fish.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a Dandy. And do it today.
Cannonball! Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Being an athlete means having a healthy desire to do as much as you can with your body. For as long as you can. Gatorade has lower sugar, electrolyte-backed hydration options to keep you rehydrated and replenished. Gatorade, for every athlete.
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now let's go behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Christmas has passed. New Year's is coming. I believe Kwanzaa and Hanukkah are still going on, Hayes Carline. Festivus has also passed, though. That is the airing of grievances. And that, my friends, is how I will welcome on my good friend, John Burton of News Channel 5 up in Nashville. Because, John, as we get ready for round two between the 3-12 Jacksonville Jaguars and the 3-12 Tennessee Titans, it certainly feels like that's the sentiment in both Nashville and Jacksonville, this battle of the Vills here on this fine Sunday. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm a New York Giants fan that covers the Tennessee Titans. How do you think I'm doing, Mia? No, great to talk with both of you. Happy holidays to you both, and thank you for having me on.
You are the man, John. We appreciate you. Hey, we were just talking about it, so let's start there. The temperature in the room when it comes to Brian Callahan, Rand Carthon, and the current regime up in Nashville, especially knowing that Mike Vrabel is the apple of seemingly every team in the National Football League's eye as we look towards the offseason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Obviously, listen, I don't think anybody really expected the Titans to be a serious playoff contender this year, but I think we all expected better than this. With Callahan coming in and, him being partially responsible for the growth and development of Joe Burrow, I think a lot of people thought that, Will Levis could maybe benefit from some of that. And, did we expect only 3 wins at this point of the season? No, but I think we expected, maybe if things roll the right way, maybe 8, possibly 9 wins this year. I don't think anybody saw, just 3 wins coming. And so, yeah, there's heat on Brian Callahan, even though he's a first-year head coach, and there's probably even more heat on Rand Carthon, given the fact that they spent a lot of money during the offseason to bring in free agents, and Rand Carthon getting more say in hiring the coaching staff and putting the roster together, and Amy Adams Strunk, the controlling owner, put a lot in Rand Carthon's put a lot on his plate, quite frankly, and when you let a guy like Mike Vrabel go because he didn't exactly want to play nice with the new collaborative system that Miss Amy wanted, there's a lot of pressure. And so, with just 3 wins and, this Titans team leading the league in turnovers, and obviously it doesn't look like the Will Levis experiment has worked out. It's a lot of people are walking around here in Nashville going, what the heck is this? We had arguably, one of the best coaches in the NFL, and now we have this. And so, a lot of uncertainty about the future, although if you're asking me, I do believe that both Callahan and Carthon will be back next year, but the heat will certainly be turned up.
Hey, John, it's Hayes Carline. Thank you so much for joining us. So what do you think happens with the quarterback position as the Titans move forward?
Well, great question. Just the fact that, with Will Levis getting benched this late in the season, because when you think about it, man, this entire season was all about Will Levis, right? We got to develop him. We got to get him weapons. He's got to learn, Brian Callahan's offense and his system. We got to get him, we bring in Calvin Ridley and we bring in some of the other guys that they drafted, et cetera, et cetera. And for him to basically be benched this late in the season and, maybe not even getting a week off last week and getting another start today, it's going to be Mason Rudolph again. I mean, as far as Will Levis, his future with the Titans is murky at best, right? He'll probably be on the roster next year, but I can't see a scenario where anybody comes out and says, "Oh yeah, he's the undisputed starter next year," and he'll be the guy. I think depending on how they fall and how where they fall in the draft order, I think drafting a quarterback is on the table, and certainly drafting or signing a veteran during the offseason as at least a bridge guy until they figure out what they want to do at the quarterback position is on the table as well. So, I don't want to say Will Levis has played his way out of Tennessee, but it's starting to trend that way. And it's unfortunate because, he went through a stretch of games where he was playing okay. The first, obviously, 3-4 games of the year were really bad. He was making boneheaded mistakes that really cost them a couple of games to start the season. Then he was okay. And to the point you're thinking, all right, he probably will be back next year. I'll get another shot at it. But, the fact that that Bengals game might have been, his ultimate downfall. The 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, and a lost fumble, and just kind of looked lost out there. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury. We know this, but his decision-making, his accuracy have been really, really below level of what most of us expected this year.
And perhaps, John, today's meeting between 2 of the 4 3-12 outfits in the National Football League could go a long way in deciding the future of the quarterback position up in Nashville. Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball. The news late yesterday, not only Amani Hooker on the defensive side of the ball downgraded to out with the shoulder injury, but also that Tony Pollard did not travel to Jacksonville yesterday. What does that do to Mason Rudolph's prospects here this afternoon and the rest of the Tennessee Titans offense?
Well, you guys know this as well as anybody, right? When you have a struggling quarterback or a backup quarterback in there, what's his best friend? It's a running game. And so Tony Pollard, in what has been a pretty dreadful season offensively for the Titans in terms of all the turnovers and lack of point production, Tony Pollard's been great, over 1,000 yards. So, not having him in the lineup is going to really, really hinder this offense. So we'll see a lot of Ty J. Spears today, I would imagine, and I'm sure Brian Callahan wants to get him out in space, with his shiftiness, his quickness, his speed. He can run between the tackles, despite the fact that he's a smaller running back, but he's really effective out of the backfield as well. We could see more of a short passing game, maybe Chigaquanko and Josh Wiley getting involved more. They'll take their shots to Calvin Ridley down the field if they're there, but I could see maybe more of a short passing game as an extension of the running game, a la Bill Walsh back in the 80s with the 49ers, which I know you two weren't alive for.
Oh, I was alive. It was wonderful. Absolutely.
Fun times, right, man?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Jeffrey Simmons has obviously been one of the best in the league for a while now. What's he been like to cover? What kind of season has he had, and what kind of energy level will he be able to bring in a game that obviously carries no playoff meaning?
Right. Yeah. Big Jeff, it's been tough for him because he's kind of been the unofficial spokesman for the team, and you can just sense his frustration week after week after week. He got his big contract last year, and this is not what he expected. And he's been doing his best to try to keep the rest of the locker room, engaged and energetic and wanting to win, despite the fact that, like you said, there's no playoffs. There's no, there's really, quote unquote, nothing to play for. I mean, his production has been good, maybe not great, maybe not what we expect from Jeff, but he's been banged up a little bit. He's had an elbow injury, I guess, to the point where if he were a Major League Baseball pitcher, he would probably have to get Tommy John surgery and get shut down. So, but you could sense his frustration. He's been great to deal with from a media standpoint. He never skips the podium or skips the scrum at his locker. He always speaks, but you could tell he's very, very frustrated. But he has had a lot of fun working with Devondre Sweat, who they drafted in the second round out of Texas last year, the massive 360-pounder. You may have seen him pick up a fumble and stiff arm a guy a couple of weeks ago, which was one of the probably the best highlight of the home season for the Tennessee Titans. So those two have worked well together, and he's had fun developing that relationship. But it's been a frustrating year for Big Jeff, no doubt.
Couple other questions for John Burton, not only of News Channel 5 up in Nashville, but also Nashville Sports Radio. You get him each and every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time on Nashville Sports Radio. It's JB and the General Show. John, we were just discussing I don't even know what to call him, an enigma, a unique cat, Nick Westbrook-Akine. 25 catches, 9 of them for touchdowns this year. Can you explain exactly what is going on with NWI and a guy who's just been like a rotational piece and feels like he's going to be the last thing left with the cockroaches up there when they implode the stadium and build the new one?
Yeah, it's been a crazy year for him, and this was a guy that we didn't think there was a possibility he wasn't going to make the team coming out of training camp because they signed Calvin Ridley and, obviously DeAndre Hopkins was still on the team at the time, and they were trying to get anything they could out of Treylon Burks, who they drafted in the first round a couple of years ago after they traded A.J. Brown. And we just thought NWI was going to be, like you said, a rotational player, a special teams guy. And I harken back to the days of Chris Berman and Tom Jackson on NFL Primetime talking about Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns. For whatever reason, once the Titans get in the red zone, the few times that they do, NWI's had a knack for getting open and making plays. And we asked him about it, and he can't even explain it. So really happy for him. He's a great guy. Just became a dad this year, and he's the ultimate team guy. He shows up early, stays late, does whatever the team asks him to do. And so, a lot of us that cover the team here locally are very happy for him. But as far as an explanation as to why he's been, so highly productive in terms of touchdown catches, like I said, nobody can really explain it right now. It's kind of like I said, it's Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns. But one of the few bright spots for, what has been a really, really tough year for the Titans, especially offensively.
What you mentioned Chigaquanko earlier. What's your evaluation of him as a young player? Because he's somebody that I think from afar, if you put him with an elite quarterback, he there is something in there that is yet to be unleashed. But again, I'm on the outside looking in. But what's your evaluation? Is Chig somebody that you think has a long NFL career ahead of him and maybe hasn't really hit his peak yet, or do you think he sort of is what he is?
No, man, Chig can be as good as he wants to be. You know, it's just, if you're asking me personally, I need to see more consistency. You know, he's dropped a lot of catchable passes. I mean, you know, he gives it his best effort as a blocker, but he needs to be better in that area. But as far as his athletic ability, as far as his ability to be a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties, yeah, the sky's the limit. And you're right, man. I would just imagine what it would be like if he was playing, you know, in the Chiefs offense with Mahomes, or, you know, playing with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. I mean, he'd probably be an 85 to 90 catch a year guy. But, yeah, the potential is there. He's got the physical tools. He's a smart guy. He understands the passing game. He understands his role. But like I said, me personally, I'd like to see more consistency. But, yeah, I mean, he was a mid-round draft pick, I guess, third round, whatever it was. And, you know, when you look at him and you see him on the field, you're like, wow, this guy should dominate. And maybe someday he will, because he's still a young player and he's still learning. But, you know, obviously we need more consistent quarterback play here to see what Chig can truly do. But, yeah, his short answer is he can be as good as he wants to be. He can be a dominant tight end in this league if he really puts in the work.
You can find John on X at John Burton 3234. Yes, his original account is no longer active, but John is still on the Twitter machine, so follow him at John Burton 3234. Before we get a score prediction from you, sir, I did want to ask, since he came up in our earlier discussion, T'Vondre Sweat, certainly the returns have been extremely positive for the Titans' second-round pick from this previous NFL draft. J.C. Latham, how would you evaluate the rookie left tackle so far this season and the entire offensive line as a whole for the first time under the elder Callahan?
Offensive line as a whole, I don't think we have enough time. It's been a struggle, especially on the right side. You know, Dylan Radins, who I believe is out today, you know, he was put in at the right guard spot. He's been okay. Right tackle's been an absolute disaster. They've rotated anywhere from 3 to 4 guys in. None of them has been able to really show a lot of consistency. As far as JC, started the season, you know, pretty solid. I think he hit that rookie wall. You know, he's struggled a little bit the past few weeks, especially in one-on-one pass pro. But you know, all indications are he's going to be a solid player. And you know, he has to understand that you're not at Alabama anymore. You know, playing Mercer. You know, you're playing the best, the best freaks in the NFL, especially from that edge rush position. But you know, he's held his own. And like I said, the potential, the arrow seems to be pointing up. But, you know, like I said, he hit a little bit of that rookie wall. And, you know, I think he understands that you really have to put the work in, film study, constantly working on your footwork, hand placement, that kind of thing. But, you know, like I said, the arrow, we believe the arrow is pointing up with JC. He's been, for the most part, solid, for the most part.
Even with the announcement that Tony Pollard would not travel and will not play today, John, as we get ready to say goodbye on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, the line has shifted at mybookie.ag. The Jaguars were 1-point favorites on Friday. The Tennessee Titans are now 1-point favorites as of 9:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Leave us with your score prediction and your thoughts for today's contest. I called this the airing of grievances for a reason, so if you want to go into a diatribe too, I think we have a little bit of time for that as well.
Well, the Titans, listen, the offense turns the ball over way too much. The special teams has been an absolute disaster for the Titans all season long. They're the worst kick coverage team, maybe in the history of the NFL. And I find it interesting that the line has crossed the bridge, Mia, like you said, in terms of who the favorite is. Man, I don't know. Flip a coin. I'll say Titans. It'll be maybe another 6-3 special like we saw Thursday night in Chicago with the Seahawks. How about that? So I'll go Titans 6, Jaguars 3, but I have no idea.
Hey, listen, we also saw a Scorigami in Houston on Wednesday night, so anything is possible. We root for Scorigami on this program, John, so we are all in favor of a 6'3", 6'2".
I love Scorigami because Scott Hansen, who does NFL Red Zone, used to intern for me a million years ago when I worked in Syracuse. So I love the Scorigami.
We're all about it. We appreciate you, as always, my friend, John Burton of News Channel 5 up in Nashville. Thank you for joining us behind enemy lines.
My pleasure. Happy New Year to you both.
Right back at you, and I would say good luck to your Giants, but wow, what a weird situation we find ourselves in. John Burton of News Channel 5. Again, you can find him on X at JONBURTON3234. The Shotsky, it's here, Hayes Carlion. I'm very curious to see what Chad Mays and the crew from Brackish and Growlers Bar and Grill have for us. It's the final Brackish of the season.
That's
Home
sad.
Finale.
That's sad.
I know, that's exactly.
That is
See,
sad.
there is a slimmer of, like something that you've got to tune in for.
Right.
If you do have the ability to watch us on live stream on YouTube, X, Facebook, leave a comment on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line, and also be sure to be locked in and ready for our Brackish Vodka segment coming up next right here on the Terminix Kickoff Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Here in North Florida, you know that when temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now. Like right now. Like lickety-split. So why not call Lickety Split and get same-day emergency service for your AC? Now, I bet you've seen their trucks all over town because they've got dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but your home's plumbing and electrical, too. So when you want it done right and you need it done right now, call Lickety Split AC, Plumbing, and Electric.
When mice and rats show up in your space, they can be a real pain. You need them out fast before they have time to multiply. Terminix knows how to shut down rodents, and they'll keep them from coming back to wreak more havoc. When rodents show up, so do we. Don't live with a rodent problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. In today's world of retail, how has a store like Underwoods stayed viable against the big national stores?
Frank, that's a question with a direct answer. At Underwoods, we've never aspired to be the biggest. What we've always tried to do is be the best. When you take this approach, there's some things that come to mind immediately, like fine quality merchandise bought by buyers that are experts, high levels of service delivered by a staff that are helpful and know what they're doing. Then there's some things that people don't really think about at all. Like the finer a gem, the more rare it is. And these gems are not mass producible because they were made by God millions of years ago. Because of that, there just aren't enough of these for the big multi-store retailers to buy and put into their merchandising schemes. So at Underwoods, we buy these finer, rarer gems and create jewelry pieces that the people in Jacksonville expect out of us.
When you want the best, it's Underwoods. Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah & Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.
When they were little, the other girls played with dolls.
Aww.
They played with footballs.
Who's that? Yes, it's us.
Helmets and heels.
From the First Coast Lighting Studios at 1010XL.
Weekdays noon to 2.
Some girls have all the fun.
It's the end of the year sale with Universal Roof and Contracting. Get 15% off all roof repairs and replacements, plus a $250 gift card for holiday shopping. With financing options as low as $150 a month, protecting your home's never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP, and this offer expires December 31st. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Hey, Jacksonville Koozies, it's me, Soccer Sam, for Salvatore's Pizza. Rochester, New York's favorite pizza is now open in Jacksonville, Florida, Tapestry Park at the Loft Hotel Plaza, daily $10 deals. Dine in with beer and wine and delivery at Salvatore's.com. The famous Formoso family brings Salvatore's Pizza, Rochester's favorite pizza, including our 32-piece sheet pizza for your next event. Go with me, baby. Salvatores.com.
For 79 years, each Gator Bowl game wrote a chapter in a story filled with excitement, celebrity, and a touch of drama. The game has seen iconic coaches like Bear Bryant, Vince Dooley, and of course, Bobby Bowden. Football stars like Larry Zonka, Archie and Peyton Manning, and Michael Vick. The 80th chapter features Duke and number 14 Ole Miss. Thursday, January 2nd in primetime on Bill Gay Grounds at Everbank Stadium. Tickets on sale now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Here in North Florida, you know that when temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now. Like right now. Like lickety-split. So why not call Lickety Split and get same-day emergency service for your AC? Now, I bet you've seen their trucks all over town because they've got dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but your home's plumbing and electrical, too. So when you want it done right and you need it done right now, call Lickety Split, AC, Plumbing, and Electric.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Starting your game day.
The Terminix Kickoff Show.
Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch on 1010XL.
Final segment of the final home game edition of the 2024 season here on the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. It's not all doom and gloom, Duval, because we not only have our friends from Brackish Vodka, Chad Mays of Growler's Bar and Grill. The Shotski, it is back. If you missed me say it earlier, if you can safely, I know many of you are driving down to downtown Jacksonville right now, if you can safely watch us on YouTube, X, or Facebook, it's the final Brackish Vodka demonstration of the season. You know you're going to want to be locked in watching it. Chad, Merry belated Christmas. A happy almost New Year. How was your Christmas?
It was amazing. We had a great time. Family came in from everywhere.
Love it.
Lots of food, lots of fun, lots of brackish.
Love it. Love it. Well, there's so many ways that you can enjoy brackish these days. We're going to enjoy it on the Shotski, but remind folks of how many different brackish flavors there are and where they can get it.
Oh, my gosh. There's so many flavors now. There's the tangerine, the peach, the OG, the elderflower, all the coffee flavors, the chocolate confessions, the toasted marshmallow, the cinnamon. I mean, you got to go get some. It's unbelievable, especially pineapple tangerine. Those are my favorites. Man, it's just awesome. We consumed a lot of it this Christmas break.
Carline, have you tried any of these new flavors yet?
Yeah, they're fantastic. And I have to say, whoever invented the Shotski, that should be the EVP of the Jaguars.
Yes.
Because this is our Excalibur.
Yes.
And whoever wields this should rule us.
Yes, I hope. I mean, I'll tell you what, we had this one custom made, man. It's just a thing of beauty. If I could just get a winning team to go with the Shotski, we'll be good to go.
For those of you who may be new to the Terminix Kickoff Show, once upon a time, this wonderful segment birthed the Duval Donkey, which birthed a 2022 playoff run, an undefeated streak up until the postseason when we made the Duval Donkey on the Terminix Kickoff Show. We tried the Fireball ski, right? Or the Fireball ski.
Last week.
We tried that with the New York Jets when they came to town 2 weeks ago. I'm curious what we're going to try here on the Shotski today, but before we do that, I don't want to forget anything special going on at Growler's Bar and Grill, specials for anybody who will be here at Tailgaters Park.
I tell you what, we got our Azar sausages going today, which are going to be amazing. We're going to do on the bar. I got Bree, and she's going to be coming in this weekend. We're going to do all the brackish flavors at $1 off.
Love it.
I mean, we're just going to anybody that's wants to drown their sorrows in this season, come to the bar and we'll hook you up.
We refer to it with John Burton of News Channel 5 as the airing of grievances. We'll let you air your grievances and your thoughts and a score prediction, Chad. But first, what are we making today?
So this one we're going to name the Maddie after my daughter, because it's Take Your Daughter to Jaguar Day for me.
Love
it.
That's awesome.
Love
so we're going to do this, and it's going to be basically her favorite drink is the Shirley Temple, so we're basically doing the dirty.
I love it. Let's go. Fantastic.
So we're going to do about 1.5 ounces pour of brackish. We're going to come in, this is really simple, like 3 ingredient build. And then we're going to add a little bit of Sprite and a little bit of grenadine, and we're going to shake this up. We're going to do it as a shot because can't really be pounding drinks on the
this is
air in front of my daughter.
And also because, again, we're still going to try the power of the shot ski to see if that can, I don't know, summon a Jaguars victory or loss. Whatever is the good juju that we need around
Summon
here.
Travis Hunter.
There we go. This is going to, the Maddie will summon Travis Hunter.
The Maddie will summon Travis Hunter.
There we go. Take it to the bank, folks.
All right, I gave you a
Everbank
little
and
bit,
the
Mia,
actual
as
bank.
always.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, I love a good Shirley Temple, so we're ready to go.
We got to get you up there.
All right, folks. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That is fantastic.
That is awesome.
See, I got almost all of it down.
Did you?
We're good.
Did you
Yeah,
get
see,
all done?
I love a good Shirley Temple. I don't think I got any on the kicks. I think we're in the clear. Chad, we appreciate you. And as far as today goes, I mean, give us the temperature. You are a man of the people. You sit here during the games. You watch it on the screen.
I'm just happy the sun came out.
Yes.
So the score prediction, we need, a lot of people say we wish we could have the higher draft pick. Actually, I think that even if everybody's like, oh, well, at least we'll lose today and get a draft pick, I think we'll end up winning today by a field goal or something crazy.
All
like
right.
20-17. How about that?
20-17.
Sounds good.
It is a 1-point line. We just went through that with John Burton. It was a 1-point line favoring the Jaguars Friday. Now it's a 1-point line favoring the Titans.
Ooh.
The Jaguars were the underdogs, though, when they went up to Nashville 3 weeks ago,
That's
and
true.
they pulled off a victory there.
I think a lot of guys are going to be playing for their jobs. They got to get some stuff on tape, man. And you never, these last couple of games, hopefully there's a lot of change coming.
Well, one thing that I don't want to change, our friends at Brackish Vodka.
yeah,
We
that's
appreciate having you guys a part of the Terminix Kickoff show each and
been
every year.
fantastic.
And listen, we continue to workshop. Yes, we'll hug it out. We continue to workshop. We continue to come up with great new ideas. And hopefully those of you listening at home go out, you buy some Brackish Vodka, and you make a Maddie of your own, or a Fireball ski, or
Duval Donkey. Just
Exactly.
make anything. Have a good time. Most importantly is you get to have fun doing it.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Chad, we appreciate you. And, of course,
All
the
right.
whole team at Growlers Bar and Grill who will be here through game time. So stop on by here at Tailgaters Parking. Right now, let's take a look around the AFC South.
Explosive play. Baltimore with 5 in the first half. Stroud rolls, throws. It is picked. Kyle Hamilton.
I'm not going to invoke the K word, Hayes Carlion. The K word is karma. Ravens 31, Texans 2. Scorigami, as we just reminisced with our friend John Burton. That comes on the heels of a Texans loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 losses in 5 days. They have the AFC South wrapped up already. They are going to the postseason. But man alive, does that team not have a lot of warts as they get ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, everybody wants to be the 5 seed, which should be embarrassing for Houston. And, and it's really been the state of affairs in the AFC South. The champion is the 4 seed, almost, going back now many years. And it's a weak division. It'll be something that I think of many things that makes this Jaguars head coaching job very attractive once it is open, because, you can step right in here in year 1 and win the division. It is clearly wide open. Houston in any other division, maybe outside of the NFC South, they wouldn't have a winning record. They've been flawed all year. The Jaguars should have beaten them in the first meeting. Trevor misses a couple open guys. Houston is not very good. They're not very good on either line of scrimmage. Whoever is the 5th seed will beat Houston and knock them out of the playoffs.
They have already played this week on Wednesday. They will wrap up their regular season next week against the Tennessee Titans, who, of course, are here in Jacksonville for this Week 17 matchup. The Colts are coming off of the aforementioned 38-30 victory over the same Tennessee Titans. They go to New York today to face a New York Giants team that, by all accounts, with Tommy DeVito at the helm, maybe it's Drew Lock today. I don't know. I can't keep track. It sounds like Joe Shane, Brian Daboll are safe. It sounds like John Mara won't make changes, and he is allowing them to all but go out and secure the number 1 overall pick. So they have their choice of a quarterback, and they're going up against a Colts team that technically is still not mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, I would think the Colts play well today because of the opponent. Joe Flacco's back in the lineup. Anthony Richardson, shocker, can't play today. So we'll see. But I would think Flacco, he never really was able to find that magic he had last year with the Browns. When he got the job, he fell on his face. But I think he is competent enough to get out there and get a fairly comfortable win today over a Giants team that, to your point, the last thing they want to do win this game. So I would think the Colts get a win and stay alive. And look, that's if you want the Jaguars to lose out, you want Indianapolis having to play for something next week. And so now, granted, Indianapolis has had that opportunity before in the finale against the Jaguars and completely blown it, but it's a new administration and everybody, totally new players on the team. So I would think for the Jaguars' sake, you hope the Colts win today over the Giants. They need the win next week, which I would think they would get as the Jaguars go up to Indianapolis and, wrap up the regular season. Because the Jaguars could probably fall, I'd say, to like the 9th overall pick. But again, if you're looking at it from a realistic what's best for the future, you'd like to see that pick come in somewhere in that 3-4 range, which, 2 losses and they'll, I think at worst case, have the 3rd pick. So yeah, be good to see if the Jaguars can get an elite blue chip prospect in. A couple more losses would guarantee that, and that's where they should be.
You mentioned the different regime in Indianapolis compared to the, of course, 2021 collapse under Frank Reich that ended here in Jacksonville at the hands of Trevor Lawrence and the no longer Urban Meyer-led Big Cats. Shane Steichen. We heard the report early this morning from Ian Rappaport. Anthony Richardson will be the starter going into the 2025 season up in Indianapolis. I think Shane Steichen's safe. There were questions of if Chris Ballard, the general manager, is safe. Right now, it feels like both of those cats will be back next season, whether the Colts make the postseason or not. But to your point, Hayes, that's where you look at a situation that's a little tenable up in Indianapolis. Certainly, we just heard from John Burton about the temperature being turned up a notch in Nashville. And then you look at Houston and the dysfunction they've had. And that is why, if there is to be a head coaching vacancy or a GM vacancy, Jacksonville has got to be at the top of the list.
I think without a doubt. I was worried about Cincinnati firing Zach Taylor, but they've really kind of caught their stride. They may even get into the tournament, although they still need some help. But I think Cincinnati has done enough where ownership is not going to fire Zach Taylor. That's fantastic, because if Cincinnati made a change, they would have been head and shoulders the best job because everybody was going to want to coach Joe Burrow, obviously. I think Cincinnati now looking like they're not going to make a change. I agree with you. I don't think Indianapolis will either. So, yeah, if it's what we're expecting, the jobs that are currently open and the Jaguars job, barring a surprise, barring a team making a move that surprises us that's had a pretty good year, the Jaguars should have the best opening, which is why this search is simply hire Ben Johnson or the search is a failure.
1 minute to go. Let's go around the horn for score predictions. Pockets, Dylan Denmark. Thank you for keeping us on the air back at HQ. What say you for today's game?
Calvin Ridley's return. Jacksonville falls to the Titans. Somehow, ugly game. Titans win.
Okay. Doesn't have a score. John O'Leary, do you have a score?
The Jacksonville Jaguars are like the wild berry Pop-Tart in last night's game. You're really not sure why they're there, but you're having fun watching them try to be there. 17-14 Titans.
17-14 Titans and Hayes Carline.
I'm going to give you a scoregami, at least I would think it would be.
Let's go!
I've got the Titans winning 4-2 today on a game that features 3 safeties, no field goals, and no touchdowns.
I had 5-2 Titans, but I'll take that. Our thanks to John Burton of News Channel 5. Our thanks to Frank Frangie. Our thanks to our friends at Brackish Vodka. And our thanks to you for joining us all season long here on the Terminix Kickoff Show. The Publix Tailgate Show is next right here on the Superstation. We will catch you later.
XL is multimedia. Twitter, Facebook,